Submitted for your approval, this evening's offering, Outworlder 5, full disclosure, and Outworlders 1 through 4. You've heard of Squadron Zero. Now, in creating science fiction, it is often essential to do what we writers call world building. We do that through visuals and voice, and it's how we explain to you, the viewers, the society our characters originate from, and how that defines who they are and how they make decisions through the course of the story. In Outworlder 5, you are the protagonist. You are the person who looked up into the night and saw something looking back. Something that you cannot get out of your head. Something that may have some interest in you. You might wonder why there are so few government efforts at disclosing records of extraterrestrial contact. You might question why government and industry hides the benefits of alien history, technology, philosophy, and why none of it has trickled down to you, the taxpayer. I make these Outworlder movies as warnings of what can go wrong in our future. Any writer of metaphoric science fiction does that. To those who can think and contemplate and move to action, you have been seen. You are being heard. Know that Squadron Zero accepts you as the best version of what you can evolve to. Thank you for joining us this night.
You've been wondering for a long time if this is all your life is meant to be. Work a few machines. Fill out paperwork. Passively accept that this is all you are. Maybe you think you were meant for more in this life right now, but you don't know what you're missing to get that better life. Last night you looked up. You were not looking for me, but you saw me looking at you. I want you to understand what more your life will be and make an informed decision. Thank you for being you.
There's a truth that you were never told, and a reality that exists parallel to everything you know. You've been invited to this online briefing because we think you deserve to know.
We've placed this report on the Gotham Filmworks channel of YouTube among a series of low-budgeted, rarely noticed Outworlder talking graphic novels.
Here, Squadron Zero can open communications with potential recruits. We can put our cards on the table and orient you with our way of thinking. We think you have what it takes to become your best self and commit to the cause.
Forget everything you were told about October 30th of 1938. The radio episode, written by Howard Koch and read by Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater Players, is an example of a simultaneous event. Even more before that is the hidden truth that as Arachne battlecruiser dropped out of warp drive near Mars in preparation for the invasion of Earth. Telescopes of the era might barely make out the surface of Mars, Astronomers in 1938 confused cloud patterns with rock or river formations, mistook the Zarachny battlecruiser's warp burst for a volcanic eruption. They never saw the onslaught of tripod marauders advancing on Earth. We do not know how the Outworlder tracked the Zarachny through hyperspace, let alone into another time. Our last sighting of him taking down Zarachny was from our temporal agents in 2004 Afghanistan. The Outworlder does not have to engage in close interrogation. He has a telepathic ability that he cannot switch off. We can only imagine how many minds he can storm through at once, because within seconds he knew every structural defect, every stress point, any defects he could exploit to destroy that Zarachny battlecruiser. A more efficient weapon system will never exist. However, the invasion force of Sri Jacket tripods were already falling to Earth. The Zarachny words, Dri Jacket, translates to giant, mechanical, spider. For those in 1938, it was the night that panicked the world. Mr. and Mrs. American on all ships at sea. All over the world, meteoric pods are landing in groups of 3, surveilling the area and then communicating at speeds the radios of the era could not receive. Simultaneously, the Orson Welles War of the Worlds radio show is being broadcast, and we thought we were being invaded by Martians. In a moment, it would not matter. This is London. Only moments ago, a tripod craft over 10 stories tall advanced on the Isle of Man. Before any defense element could respond, the aggressors emitted a fiery burst that set ablaze a factory block. Mere seconds later, A funnel of water spun out of the Thames River hundreds of feet high and doused those flames. Only then did we catch glimpse of a black Mirai flying at incredible velocity as it engaged the tripods. In mere seconds, it was all over. The tripods had been burned to ash, and the mysterious black craft spiraled skyward into the night. Stories pour in over telex and radio of similar accounts in Moscow, Petropavlovsk, Eastern Kazakhstan, Italy, Germany, Luxembourg, France. Ladies and gentlemen, a war between alien factions is being fought this night on our planet Earth.
Scramble! 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 Fast mobile threats entering Newark, New Jersey. All crews to their planes. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Attention to all maritime traffic. Divert course away from the island of Manhattan. Naval assets are mobilizing along the Hudson and East Rivers to repel a rapid mobile enemy threat. This is not a drill. All civilian maritime traffic divert course out to sea immediately.
This is the voice of Manhattan Civil Defense. The city has gone into a state of high alert. All citizens are urged to take cover indoors and rapidly provision themselves with water, food, blankets, and first aid kits. An enemy threat is moving to Jersey City, and all military and government personnel are hereby activated to repel the threat. This is no drill. Citizens, the balloon has gone up.
Heat rays damaged our engines. Gotta stop the Martians. Drop the whole plane on them and hope we do more damage than our bombs could not.
The bomber plane impacted on the lead tripod. The lead was pulverized. The other two staggered after the cataclysm. Fire the heat rays. The charred remains of the artillerymen is a powdery white ash on the soil of Jersey City. Carnage such as this is unprecedented.
Panic ensued, both from the broadcast and anyone who saw the tripods advance through Jersey City to the shoreline. Radio chatter spoke of them deploying a black gas that dropped anyone in their tracks from a distance of 3 blocks. The Zrachny wanted slave labor easily captured, and it looked like they were going to get it.
Get your head down! The Martians ain't begun on us yet. Not begun. Whatever do you mean? Not begun! They'll want a labor force. They'll want to experiment on us. They'll hire mercenary types to hunt the rest of us. After weeks of running around hungry, scared, tired, sick, most humans would gladly live in a cage to get food, water, any crew of the Martians fed them. Keep us like pets! You really have all of this figured out, don't you, stranger? We can't use the thinking that got us into this trouble. We gotta get right with how things are now. Learn to live under the streets, fight guerrilla style, retake the planet using the Martian weapons against them. Once the Martians are crouched, we turn their weapons on those people who stupidly got us into this mess. Imagine it, can you? Us, riding Martian weapons, running wild and free, and cleansing the planet of them all. Are not the Martians adversary enough for you, stranger? I cannot live in the world you represent or envision. I won't. You cannot say I did not offer you a chance to live under the water. We will not argue that, sir.
At this point, several 100,000 civilians in New Jersey have coughed themselves to sleep, thinking they were being gassed to death. If the tripods are successful, these people will awaken caged, branded, and selected for labor, medical, scientific experimentation, or nutrition, or entertainment. On Manhattan Island, panic is high. Military and police assets are spread too thin to fight the Drachni. Civil defense is organizing citizens to grab anything they can get their hands onto. And then, over 270,000 New Yorkers witnessed the tide of war change.
Oh no!
What the hell was that?
Oh no! Never saw anything move like that! What kind of guns are those? Yo! That's Flash Gordon, not me!
Oh yeah! Only a New Yorker drives like that!
Whoa! Sandman Lou! Where does something like that come from? From a squadron with no numbers, Josie.
Heavens to Microtroid! What the hell is that?
Give me one of those Howard Hughes machines there. Hey, looks like it's heading towards the WCBS building. Must be a big fan of Orson Welles.
Yeah, it's got no wings there. Gotta be held up by hot air.
Oh yeah? Then what's holding you down?
Joe, you gotta draw our guy flying. Like that guy. Right. No more leaps and bounds off rooftops. Flying. Like that guy. Hey, think he's from around here? Probably is. I just hope he doesn't get a comic book deal. Otherwise, we're on the slow train back to Cleveland.
This looks like a job for Kirk Cook.
We're back from commercial in 30 seconds, people. Mr. Wells, big fan of your work, sir. There has been a commotion. If you could read this brief statement, it could do well to reassure the listeners. I have not seen you here before, sir. Agent Hauser, Civil Defense. You will be enlarged of the details later. There has been a panic. I can help. Good evening, everyone. We hope this Halloween offering has not caused any confusion or panic. It was only a radio show, and rest assured, this radio station, this city, the entire world remains intact. So, if there is any knocking at the door, it is only trick-or-treaters. Gratitudes, Mr. Wells. After the fallout from tonight, you could benefit from a move to California. There, you can raise all of the cane you like. You're suggesting a move to film production? You do want to top this effort? Enter the visual arena. Let the world see the face behind the voice. Sir, I shall consider it. Then good night, Mr. Wells, and gratitudes for the memories.
Oh, so there's been a panic out there! We might have to get out of town! Fallout!
We are, Mank, we are. I've been advised to go west to California, where we can raise all of the cane we like out there.
Good evening, Mr. Shrebnitz. I've been looking for Action Comics #1.
Hey, Gumshoe, you a fan of Superman too?
You know it, sir.
Best comic you can get for a dime. Hey, Superman got created by two guys from Cleveland, Ohio, of all places. They got their studio just a few blocks from here. Siegel and Schuster. Good Joes. Hey, good customers, too.
Very good, Joes.
Hey, you think Superman will take off? You know, lots of comics don't, you know.
Mr. Shrebnitz, you're going to believe a man can fly.
Hey, thanks, Agent. I'm glad you G-Men are out there.
Oh, no need to thank me, sir. We're all part of the same team. Good night.
The news of the world, Wednesday, February 25th. Once again, Columbia's correspondents in world capitals and in the fighting zones in the Western Pacific are ready to give you the latest news direct by shortwave radio. And now for news of our own West Coast, we take you to Los Angeles and the report of Byron Palmer. Anti-aircraft guns went into action against unidentified aircraft in the Los Angeles area shortly after 3 a.m. Pacific wartime this morning. The anti-aircraft guns began barking during a blackout ordered by the 4th Interceptor Command at 2:25 a.m. The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach. Army officials declined to comment on the possibility that the object might have been a blimp. However, it required nearly 30 minutes to travel some 25 miles, far slower than an airplane. Watchers on the rooftop of the Columbia Broadcasting Building in the heart of Hollywood could plainly see the flashes of guns and searchlights sweeping the skies in a white arc along the coastal area. Concussion of the shells could be felt in downtown Los Angeles, 15 miles away. U.S. Army planes quickly took to the dark skies, but whether they contacted the object has not been announced. Army officials say they will not comment until they receive a full report of the action. Although some watchers say they saw airplanes in the air, semi-official sources say they probably were the U.S. Army's pursuit. Several observers say they saw one or more planes spotlighted by 20 or 30 searchlights. The object moved southward, presumably over Huntington Park at the western edge of Los Angeles, and on southward to about Long Beach on the coast. By 3:30 a.m., observers said the object appeared to be over the south of Long Beach. Searchlights closely followed the object down the coast and kept it centered in their glare. Shells frequently could be seen bursting near the object, but none appeared to hit it. The shooting stopped about 3:30 a.m. The shooting brought warfare to the front door of this city of 1.25 million population for the first time since December 7th. Already it was alert to the presence off the Southern California coast of a Japanese submarine which had pumped 25 shells into an oil field north of Santa Barbara Monday evening. Because of the presence of the submarine, a 3-hour alert was ordered at dusk last night, and civilian authorities stood at their posts while the Army and Navy continued their search for the submersible. The evening alert ended at 10:23 p.m., but another was sounded at 2:22 a.m., and the blackout followed within 3 minutes. It covered Los Angeles County from Santa Monica to Pomona. At 2:27, all Southern California radio stations were ordered off the air, except those in San Diego. Approximately 20 minutes after the firing died down, the ship returned and headed westward from Long Beach toward Santa Monica. The guns went into action again, hurling round after round of shells at the object. The second barrage appeared to be closer to downtown Los Angeles, since watchers could hear the concussion of the guns more clearly, and the flash of bursting shells was brighter. Then the ship disappeared for the second time over the ocean. We return you now to CBS in New York.
During the 1930s, the majority of Americans wanted to remain isolationist as war broke out in Europe and Asia. The German Wehrmacht, Kriegsmarine, and Luftwaffe were counting on this. However, there were more alert Americans who could see inevitability beyond the horizon. Between July 19th and August 10th of 1940, Colonel William J. Donovan went on a fact-finding tour of Britain. Meeting the King, the Queen, numerous diplomats and the like, he saw the British as a determined ally but an underpowered one. Upon meeting Admiral John Godfrey, Colonel Donovan found a like-minded guard in the British Department of Naval Defense. As far as the public knew, a Lend-Lease program between America and our European allies began. America gave the British 50 old destroyers in exchange for air and sea bases in Newfoundland, Bermuda, the Bahamas, Antigua, Santa Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad, and British Guiana. This greatly extended the logistical and tactical reach of the United States Navy. Our merchant marine fleet carried weapons, ammunition, petroleum, oil, lubricant, munitions, etc. through waters patrolled by German U-boats to Britain, the Netherlands, and the Soviet Union. Covertly, Colonel Donovan was being made aware of suspected advents in Nazi military technology and deployment.
morning of December 7th, 1941, the Japanese Navy deployed against the American naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. This day will forever live in infamy and brought America into World War II. Colonel Donovan realized our intelligence, innovation, logistics, communications were hopelessly outdated. His Office of Strategic Services answered the call and deployed for intelligence gathering. But when reports in early 1942 came across his desk about sudden technological and weapons advances in Germany, Colonel Donovan realized what no one else did, that the Nazis were being supported by forces whose origins we could only imagine. In response, Colonel Donovan needed a rapidly mobile force that could operate on land, sea, and sky to confront these horrific new weapons used by the Third Reich. There were no signed paper documents, no budget plans, no tax records, just a nod and a few handshakes. Squadron Zero's mission was to operate globally, preventing the Third Reich and the Nitruscan Empire from taking Earth, using weapons decades, even centuries beyond anything we Allies possessed. At the time, Squadron Zero had no operating base. Rather, it was agile, mobile, hostile, and any place that was needed was acquired to administrate, innovate, and mobilize. We even modified an aircraft carrier to submerge like a submarine. See that little boat there? We left a POW for the U.S. Navy to pick up later. We had a job to do near the English Channel.
Recording for Squadron Zero. Colonel Donovan needed people to function in more than just intelligence gathering and espionage roles. He needed industrialists, people with access to foreign nations and persons within them that pulled the levers, connections to back-channel families throughout the world who could succeed where diplomats failed. Their thought process was divergent, creative, versatile. Any person who passes a standardized test and quotes regulations is useless. A political martinet would not last long in the field. Agents came from a diverse walk of lives. Anyone from a board game designer to baseball legend Mo Berg were valued operatives in the OSS and Squadron Zero. Upon learning that the Nitruscans were coming back in time to lend arms and intelligence to the super science programs of the Third Reich, we planned our own countermeasures. The Nitruscans worked with the Nazis from an island north of Germany, Peenemünde. Dr. Hans Kammler, a upper echelon SS officer, frequented the facilities on Peenemünde. They worked on the V-4 rocket engine, experimental high-altitude long-range aircraft, and counter-gravitational levitation vehicles. The Nitruscans' thinking was to puppet the Nazis and conquer Earth in the 1940s, thus preventing the cataclysm that had them dwelling like mutated insects miles below America in their 28th century. Sounds like a worn-out science fiction movie plot, but it happened. It's your history that no one ever told you about, till now.
turn down your proposal. We are miles ahead of the German Luftwaffe. The Army Air Corps had to know that.
They do, Regina. But they reeled off a list of excuses. Too experimental, not a proven technology. We cannot refine enough jet fuel. No pilot wants to burn up in that thing. I've flown that prototype dozens of times. You've flown it too. It all came down to Lockheed and Pratt & Whitney and Vought, Boeing, all having hands in some politicians' pockets. You cannot win a war if the corporations are calling the shots. We're going bankrupt for all the wrong reasons here. If they just come out here and meet the plane we made with our own hands, if they just look at the plans I drew, see what the potential is and what the Borak can do here. I've seen what she can do here. The name's Donovan, Office of Strategic Services. Your Carbo X-1 jet engine can theoretically outpower, outdistance, outclimb, and outperform anything the Axis has on paper or in the skies. I need 20 of your Deborah-class jet fighters. You're a couple that can keep matters quiet. I'm a man who needs a squadron. No registrations, no tail numbers, no records, no lists of products departing this factory. In this attaché case is more than enough money to eliminate your debts, upgrade your facilities, and hire any employees that can be trusted. You answer only to me, and I only answer to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Anything else you need, you call the number on my card.
Victor, he wants a Phantom Squadron.
Sir, you've got my interest. But I'm thinking, you have custody of the kind of technologies that you haven't mentioned. The kind that Regina and I could turn into a real, considerable force multiplier. You're absolutely right. I do. During the Zarachni invasion of October 1938, tons of alien tech scattered across the globe. Army and Navy intelligence wasted no time policing it. So have the Nazis, the Russians, and factions with reputed hostile intentions.
Colonel, is the United States government reverse engineering alien technology?
Regina, imagine your Carbo X-1 with a fuel intake and emission system 1/3 the size of what you have now. A pair of anti-magnetic wing-mounted degravitators, negating the need for a landing gear. Now imagine the next generation jet fighter with navigation, avionics, weapons targeting, and stealth systems that makes anything Magnum Merciless has look Luddite. What caliber of gunnery are we working with here, sir? The wings will be needed to be radically redesigned to incorporate this degravitator you're talking about here. Not as much as you might assume. The wings will carry twin 50 caliber cannons. The degravitator and the nose-mounted Zarachni heat ray will be powered by a portable reactor. Officially, Carborundum Aviation is doing aeronautics research projects for the Army Navy Air Corps. Covertly, you're going to be working with selected pilots and engineers to create and immobilize exactly what your wife termed a Phantom Squadron. Do you both accept this commission? We do. I know what that kind of commitment comes from you. I know what you represent. All the details are in this case. We won't be signing any contracts. The two of you are going to make history that might be kept secret into the 21st century. That won't be a problem? Not a problem, Colonel. All right. Then, welcome to Squadron Zero.
Other people on the way, Colonel?
Regina, they're already here.
saucers are fueling. Launch time is late afternoon. They do a flyover in Hitler's speech in Frankfurt. Get the rabble worked up. Then they head north.
The Honobos are out of the factory? Last month they were on the drawing board.
Gets worse, Max. Those Honobu saucers are carrying cobalt bombs. Makes what Oppenheimer is doing in Los Alamos look like a party popper. If even one of those cobalt bombs hits the British Isles, they're gone. Scotland is gone. Much of Ireland. The European war will be over before sunrise, and the swastika will be arriving at Manhattan before the week is out.
Colonel, the paint just dried on Deborah. She's had no engine test beyond 500 knots velocity. No weapons tests.
Captain Hauser, those Honobus can run flat out just below Mach 1. Their armor-piercing rounds can knock anything we have out of the air. I need you and Deborah out of New Jersey. You do a high-altitude climb, right up to the edge of space. Then you drop down over the English Channel and take 3 shots. You turn the tide of the war and get out of there unseen by the public. The carrier USS Manhattan will be in the channel to land on. She'll be running on fumes by then. So will you.
Do the carborundums know?
They do. Regina is upset. Very upset. Prototypes are not supposed to fight in wars, she says. But if Deborah doesn't fly, the Nazis, the Etruscans, fascism runs the world.
I'm on the job.
Good luck, and good hunting.
This is the last broadcast you will ever hear from Axis Sally. Coming through the storm clouds are 3 experimental aircraft carrying cobalt bombs provided by new friends of the Third Reich. In moments, you will be analyzed from existence and the Allied war effort ended. You cannot hear or see our saucers approaching your coastal radar network. You have no defense against the Fuhrer's latest technological terror. In a flash of blue, it will all over. Just darlings.
The Free Marines of Deutschland have called for an end to your Third Reich. I am their answer. I am your fiery demise.
Navy flash! The Hannibal saucer knocked out Deborah's heat ray. Her 50 caliber guns have little effect on their armor plating. Sound the air raid!
The Hannibal has stopped running! It's turning to fight! Deborah's on collision course with it!
Captain Maxwell Quentin Hauser shot down the last Hornibus 2 saucer over the White Cliffs of Dover. Its fiery remains plunged into the English Channel where divers of 30 Assault Unit deployed to secure and surface the wreckage. That unit was commanded by British Naval Intelligence Officer Ian Fleming, who became a staunch ally of Squadron Zero. Rapidly did the British move the wreckage to Bletchley Hall, where military scientists learned that their islands could have been atomized by a cobalt bomb had the Hornibus saucers reached London. That made British MI6 a cousin to Squadron Zero, and we've been covertly linked since 1943. War makes for fast friends and peculiar relatives. We are fortunate that the British value silence, discretion, coordination, as we do.
Shortly after downing the Hornibus saucers, we got word from the French resistance of where Nazis were building numerous types of larger Hornibus anti-gravity aircraft. Not wanting any of the main forces to know of this threat, both Heaven's Thunder and Blackfire air groups made a low-altitude strike on a bunker factory in Frankfurt, Germany. What resulted was an aerial battle between our jet-powered Deborah fighters and over a dozen Hornibus 2s and 3s. From a converted Kriegsmarine aircraft carrier, a quad of Hornibus 4 saucers made course for New York, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia and Boston. Within hours, the American East Coastal Military-Industrial Complex would be wiped out. Shooting down the Hornibus 2s and 3s caused horrific damage to the city of Frankfurt, Germany in minutes. We lost one Deborah-class fighter and Major Jonathan Conklin of the United States Army Air Corps that night. Heaven's Thunder Air Group would need to find a new commander of Air Group fast.
The unfortunate fallout from the fight was that Allied and enemy soldiers got photographs of crashed UFOs on the ground. Squadron Zero wasted no time claiming these crashed craft were products of Nazi super science and that their experimental engines were radioactive hazards to anyone's health. No mention was made of capturing Nitruscans at 3 crash sites. Pompous, aristocratic, and smug as the Nitruscans are, they rarely chose suicide to escape capture. Fortunate for us, because despite their high pain thresholds, they told us what we wanted to know. Taking down the Hanabu 4 troop carrier bombers would prove more difficult than imagined. Once launched from German aircraft carriers, they were untraceable on British radar, and nothing the Royal Air Force had could slow them down. 2 squadrons of Royal Air Force lost half their flyers over the western coast of Ireland. The only way we had any idea where those 4 Hanabu troop carrier bombers were moving was by listening to radio transmissions from German U-boats off the coast of America. This was how the Hanabus would know their range to target and how to evade our surface warfare assets. The U.S. Navy submarines banged away with sonar beneath the waves, and within hours, we'd eliminated several U-boats near our coastline, but still no sight, no trace of the 4 approaching Hanabus. Later that night, a U.S. Army radio station in Greenland sights 4 small icebergs floating right into Cape Farewell. They had no explanation how 4 Nazi flying saucers froze to a temperature of over 2,000 degrees below zero and floated onto the beach. The only person who saw anything was asked what brought down the 4 craft. She took out a red lipstick and drew a red letter V on a boulder. At the time, no one knew what she was communicating. Throughout history, people have used berries, paints, fabrics to create this letter V to signal the presence of a benevolent alien crusader. While she said little, the U.S. Army Air Corps wasted no time thawing the saucers from the icebergs. Not an easy feat in a place as frigid as Greenland. What they found was horrific. Each of the Hanabus were carrying aerosol bombs with a semi-transparent liquid encased within. From what Squadron Zero's chemists could deduce, this chemical weapon was designed to reduce blood flow and electrochemical activity to the frontal lobe of the human brain. Had these aerosol bombs been detonated high above our cities, anyone exposed would be reduced to a mentally dazed Luddite, incapable of recognizing a threat or fighting to defend anything. Easy capture for those Nitruscan shock troops, also on those saucers. Just imagine everything you are now, reduced to an intelligence quotient no higher than 20. Army doctors corroborated our findings and labeled this chemical the slaver weapon. With their Hanabus eliminated and the Nitruscan connection severed, the Nazis fell back on what they knew. Buzz bombs continued to blitz Britain. V-2 rockets were tested and plans were on the table at Peenemünde for equipping them with crude nuclear bombs and launching them from their U-boats on American coastal cities. While many Allied infantry and tank companies were bogged down short on fuel and munitions, General Patton's Third Army knocked out Hitler's nuclear weapons factory and days later stormed into Berlin. Days later, the European War ended with Germany captured by the Allies. The bodies found burned outside of Hitler's bunker were Eva Braun's and the second of Hitler's decoys. Word rang out among Allied navies that Hitler was on a diesel-powered U-boat bound for Argentina. While the global manhunt for Adolf Hitler began, victory in Europe was declared. To this day, historians, political scientists, and conspiracy theorists conjecture where Adolf Hitler originated his ideas behind the creation of the Third Reich. One thought dates back to the 1930s when Hitler devoured books and films on American history. He watched films such as Birth of a Nation, Stagecoach, and numerous news films and other Western fare. Hitler noticed how European colonists arriving in the New World, arriving in America rapidly, disconnected Native Americans from their lands, numbered them like cattle, force-marched them to inhospitable parts of the nation, and kept them in tiny, underserved districts. Being a British colony meant that the practice of slavery was in full effect. As early as 1619, people arriving from Africa, Ireland, China, and numerous other points from around the globe were conscripted as slave laborers and indentured servants. Seeing this, Hitler was inspired to create his Third Reich, just as America modeled its beginnings on Imperial Rome. Also, if you find pictures of Adolf Hitler's personal train car, notice the nameplate. The car was named America. It's spelled with a K, not a C. His Third Reich's methods and motivations clicked with like-minded persons in the United States, such as the Silver Shirt Bund, the Brothers of the Rhineland, and the American Socialist Labor parties that were rife in the 1930s and 40s America. History truly can be stranger than science fiction. Even more surreal was to be the method that was underway to end the fighting in the Pacific Theater. The world was about to enter the nuclear age where people felt no control over their own lives and thus sought manipulation over anyone they could, while the nuclear sword of Damocles hung over every head on Earth. Even with World War II ended, humanity was not without threats. Understand that the U.S. Army Air Corps dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, not only to end fighting in the Pacific, but to show the Russians that anything we built would be detonated. So began the Cold War, an unseen, unheard time to die unceremoniously for some, and a cause of great purpose for a few.
Make no mistake, anytime you raise your level of destructive technology, you alert the cosmos that you are preparing for the next level of combat. With the atom split and nuclear test detonations occurring in both Western America and Western Russia, we saw frequent interest from our extraterrestrial neighbors. Small triangular alien craft buzzed by our nuclear reactors, monitored our bomb tests and trailed our nuclear submarines. So did a giant kaiju out of Japan, but that's another story.
At least 5 alien races monitored Earth as the nuclear and space races powered up. What terrified 3 alien species was the concept of our nuclear submarines more than anything else. From their perspective, a nuclear submarine is both self-contained and autonomous for long periods of time. Their concern is that humans would take submersible technologies, adapt them to space tech, and before long, fleets of our warships would be firing nuclear-tipped rockets throughout space. One species even came too close to surveilling our submarine base in California. In 1947, the U.S. Air Force followed an alien craft as it fled east. You might remember the UFO crash in Roswell, New Mexico. Unfortunately, Squadron Zero was occupied with a Zeraki invasion of Estonia at the time. The Air Force got out ahead of it best they could. Unfortunately, some public interest was raised, enough to put the Air Force into question and generate a tourism destination of a small desert community. You will be reading Project Blue Book and Eric Van Daniken's Chariots of the Gods as a prerequisite to your next briefing.
Squadron Zero had more than one threat to contend with, and two of them had a nasty habit of time traveling to corrupt our timeline. Despite losing World War II, the Etruscan Empire still had plans to strike from their underground city of Tabal. We learned decades later from the Outworlder that 28th century Tabal stretched from Manhattan to Denver, Colorado, and as far down south as Atlanta. Strangely, it was built after a huge starship, the Dragus, crash-landed on Manhattan on December 10th of 1988. Understand this, the Outworlder is not native to our time, our dimension. His perspective on reality is vastly different than ours. From his point of view, he is the last man from a devastated Earth in a forgotten timeline. His Earth went on alert on December 10th of 1988 when the Dragus dropped out of orbit near the Moon. Both NATO and Warsaw Pact nations wasted no time targeting and launching nuclear weapons. The Dragus demolished the majority of those nukes, releasing a storm of radioactive clouds in our atmosphere. Even as humanity slowly died, our weapons automatically fought on and brought the Dragus crashing down on the Bronx. Those Etruscans not killed in the crash reasoned they could not occupy the surface of the Earth or they'd go extinct just as humanity did. So they dug down. 7 miles down. There they found underwater streams, plenty of minerals, anything they needed to evolve their species to survive on. The city of Tabal began, and over the centuries, it expanded west and south. The late 28th century saw the Etruscans' resources dwindled, their DNA corrupted by replicative fading and extinction inevitable. On this Gotham Filmworks channel is a talking graphic novel form of 4 Outworlder stories that will detail the fate of Tabal and how the Outworlder covertly works with Squadron Zero in our timeline, our dimension, to prevent extinction-level events on this Earth and many others.
Weaponizing space caused controversy on Earth since the 1980s, but you have no idea the nervousness of extraterrestrials. Many species are concerned that humans would use nuclear-powered spacecraft and arrive over their planet, ready to replay the manifest destiny. Conversely, those events you saw in the classic film, The Day the Earth Stood Still, happened more times than you know. Emissaries would either threaten Earth with armadas of superior weaponry or make demands to take over human matters on Earth and usher us into a more peaceful and more public first contact. Neither outcome seemed beneficial to us. In this year, we remain watched by numerous alien species. They have long knowledge of our history. They do not want to be driven to near extinction as the Native Americans were when the European colonists landed in 1492. Actually, the Chinese discovered America's west coast hundreds of years earlier, but they wrought far less damage, so they got little attention in your history books. To this day, there are people in Central and South America who retain genetic fragments of Chinese DNA as proof. In efforts to end the Cold War, President Ronald Reagan and Premier Mikhail Gorbachev arrived in Reykjavik, Iceland in October of 1986. At the time, the Strategic Defense Initiative, euphemistically called Star Wars, bothered the Warsaw Pact nations. You might remember how news articles of the time spoke how a network of orbiting satellites would put a dome or protection over the Western Hemisphere. Typically, that would be a little concern to Squadron Zero, except that President Reagan knew about Squadron Zero and was very fond of our human-piloted alien craft. Fond enough that he even called our phone number and asking for a quiet display on that evening in Iceland. Rumor was a 1985 Diana-class prototype human-piloted alien craft arrived minutes before any of the delegates and concealed herself under a shroud of several GP Army tents. President Reagan invited Comrade Gorbachev to step into the tents and meet an American invention far more exotic than STI. Comrade Gorbachev is suddenly standing nose to nose
or rather nose-to-nose cone, with a Diana-class H-Pack that emits no sound or heat. President Reagan informs him that she's the prototype. She's got 2 nasty assistants, heavily armed, and they might have something to do with recent disappearances of Soviet satellite, air, and submersible assets that got too close to the east coast of America. They both exit the tent, step around. By the time Comrade Gorbachev can adjust his eyes to the night, 2 more Diana-class H-Packs cruise low over their heads. It doesn't take long for him to realize that prolonging this Cold War is not going to go well for the Warsaw Pact nations. Talks ramp up that very night to wind down the Cold War while 3 H-Packs make course for the Fulda Gap.
The Cold War ended incrementally. In the final years, flare-ups on the borders or between air and sea assets happened both on the record and off. Often while diplomats pounded fists and rattled metaphoric sabers, back-channel families on both sides of the Iron Curtain smoothed over mishaps, solved disagreements, and quietly relieved the pressures in a silent role to prevent the final war. Their names, their accomplishments remain unknown to history. They do not need form-letter citations, medals, or monuments, but they all enjoyed 4 seasons of Edward Woodward as the equalizer. It was fortunate for Squadron Zero that no media attention was taken of their exploits during this era. The public's attention was diverted by mysteries, many mysteries of more popular and notable concern.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
Cyber warfare unit linked to every nation's communications satellites. Transmit the data plague in all known computer languages.
Monarch! The bugs are crawling! Military communications, infrastructure, power, transportation. The logic bombs have burst. Computer networks are severing. Their sky is falling.
Pentagon Cyber Warfare Division reports that our computers pick up a virus. Unknown language, like nothing we have on record. All satellite control, communications, and internal power are going down. Switching to analog systems and batteries. We're blind out here.
Carrier to all Phalanx vessels. Now hear this. Systems are going down. We're cruising on momentum. No directional control. We're blind. I'll read you this. All ships of this battle group report status.
Are you still there, NORAD? If we cannot get aircraft power unit operational in 2 minutes, we're ditching in the North Pacific.
The Dragus' multilingual cyber warfare attack sent computer viruses to every NATO and Warsaw Pact unit. A moment later, civilian computer networks crashed all over the world. Unable to communicate, maneuver, or relay positions, both military and police assets were failing. Power plants around the globe began seizing up and shutting down, causing continental blackouts. Here at Squadron Zero, the General activated the red lines to Strategic Air Command NORAD, Simpak Fleet, anyone to coordinate efforts with. No response from anyone. Only our Russian counterpart at Kapostan Yar could communicate using similar extraterrestrial communication systems to our own. But a moment later, they too went dark. Humanity was defenseless.
Broadcasting from Her Majesty's ship Ark Royal. All systems are function negative. Those among you with analog backup systems, activate immediately. Global Air, Flight 88 reporting aircraft power unit flatlining. Engines powering down. Tower, we're 34 miles from Frankfurt Flughafen, and we're beginning glider practice. Attempting to manually pump out ballast water tanks. We are on a trading mission in the Straits of Gibraltar and sinking fast. Coordinates are...
Power down the klaxon. Satellite command, give me a situation report.
General, I'm reading a hyperspace boom over Manhattan.
General, we're getting a signal on our isolated frequency. Call sign music. Here I go again by Whitesnake. Sir, that's Captain William Conrad Hauser's call sign music. Impossible. Captain Hauser and Lieutenant Mitchell are prepping to launch 2 floors above us. Sparks. We're going to break protocol. Red phone to the White House. Oval Office. I need to speak to the Gipper.
Unidentified aerial phenomena is at Mach 40 and accelerating. UAP is left orbit and going head-to-head with the Dragon.
Launch Bay, this is Tactician. Hostile contact appeared over Manhattan and is on intercept course. Launch all fighters. Invasion craft are on standby. Gunners, take aim on the hostile and fire when you have target lock.
The Codebringer knocked out all communications. Our cyber warfare division erupted into space. The computer virus has been nullified by... This is impossible. The Codebringer wirelessly reactivated every system we infected. All NATO assets booting up. Warsaw Pact forces reporting every Eastern Bloc system is coming back online. Monarch, both Kapustan Yar and MF-51 can see us up here. Codebringer is flying too close to our hull for gunners to get a shot at him. Launch bays report they've been knocked out. No shadow fighter we sent out can possibly return. There won't be any shadow fighters left to return in a minute. Understand this. There's a human being inside that Codebringer prototype. His repeller has a limit to how much energy he can absorb. We put a large population of humans at risk, and when he tries to rescue them, we overwhelm him, break orbit, and maneuver over the Middle East. Target megapulse cannons on the city of Jerusalem. Begin with a 400 megaton barrage of antimatter and increase the destructive yield exponentially. Not one Muslim, not one Jew, not one Christian walks out alive! Force change projected. Maneuvering thrusters 1/8 power. Attaining orbit over Jerusalem. Gunners are taking aim on Jerusalem. The cradle of 3 religions. I will demoralize humanity as no one has. Gunners! You will eliminate Jerusalem!
General, that barrage is increasing to 700 megatons. If any of that energy hits Jerusalem, the city vaporizes.
Open your global frequency. Alert the Fertile Crescent Air Group and all Middle Eastern ground and sea units to converge on Jerusalem. Use every asset, every person, every unit of currency to save as many lives, human and animal, as possible. On it, sir. One thing more. Strategic Air Command NORAD is back online and going to Defense Condition 1. They're targeting the Dragon for an orbital nuclear strike. Damn it! If we launch, the Russians launch. Citizen Sparks, get me SAC NORAD on the line. Citizen Mallory, get me the presidential authentication codes to override and abort a nuclear launch.
He saved Muslims, Mama.
He saved everyone, Leela.
But he's a comic book character.
The stories I read when you were true, baby. You see. Where have you been? In 44 years.
It's really him, isn't it? Mr. Tobacnik, he isn't just a comic book character.
Yeah. Yeah. It is him. He liberated the camp in 1944.
What happens if whatever is up there fires on us again?
Whatever it is damaged.
Who is it? Where did it come from?
Never ask a miracle why it chose to come here.
Do we alert Mossad about this UFO sighting? This demands a higher authority. Get on the phone to the rabbi.
Oh, Santa! Turbashnik remembers! Turbashnik believes!
First contact happened here. The Megapulse cannons have melted. You threw 800 megatons down on him. He's still hovering,
Jerusalem is undamaged.
Marlock, that human inside Project Coldbringer is a United States Marine. He's already adapted and improvised. In a moment, he's coming up here to overcome.
Rerouting power to deflector shields, short-range gunnery, and torpedo launchers. Look at those readings down there, tactician. The Coldbringer completely reconfigured itself during our attack. We forced it to evolve. It may have no limitations now.
I've programmed the maintenance droids to modify our wing-mounted gunnery. In a few minutes, we can launch an electromagnetic pulse across the globe, knock down every aircraft, jam every computer, every communication systems, drown every submarine. We can take them.
Fire the EMP the moment the cannons are charged, Crawler. We're not giving this planet to those human wasters.
Why do you fight me, Coldbringer? Why do you fight? I'm not missing my kid's birthday.
I love you, Daddy.
You are my mission.
Don't be late for my party.
I'm hypersonic, little girl.
Miguel, this is Ronald. We have a dragon in the sky. And a Black Knight attempting to slay that dragon. He is one of yours? He's out there for all of us.
Coldbringer destroyed the cannons! We cannot launch the electromagnetic pulse attack!
Crawler! Take the maneuvering thrusters to manual control! Plunge the Dragos into the atmosphere and land us atop Manhattan!
You cannot to bear. Humans have damaged this planet with their industrialization, their wars, and their pollution. The Nitruscan Empire is taking this planet, and humanity will submit to our new order. We conquer them for their own good.
Your mission failed, Monarch! Reality changes. This time it does not end with a nuclear exchange, a planet laid waste, and you
crash behind Yankee Stadium.
Do you think you won, Goldringer? When what's left of the Dragos crash lands to Earth, the radiation will cast a shroud of death over the entire planet. Billions of humans die a slow death, and then our trusted Empire will fly our swastika flag over New York.
Monarch, your program will not be piloting the Dragos to crash land on Manhattan. You and the I trusted Empire end right here. Execute command sequence override. Antimatter containment bottle shut down. Monarch Avatar program self-termination sequence 0, 0, 0. Suicide 0.
I was only following my program. Mom never debunked me. Not my fault. I'm entitled. I'm alive. Just like you. You cannot just delete me like I'm nothing.
Alive are you? With one difference. I am the prototype. You are a cheap knockoff of a failed model. What is the nitrusted procedure for that which has failed and is obsolete?
No!
You are terminated. Enterprise. One to beam up.
Standard operator procedure is no one talks to anyone outside of the fleet. Maintain satellite communications and alert me if a second wave of those dragons pops out of hyperspace.
Don't mean to be out of line here, Captain, but would you want to pop out of hyperspace anywhere near Earth with some Cosmozoa cosplaying as a superhero hovering right overhead?
Is that the interpretation of the situation from Langley, Virginia?
Captain, how many extraterrestrials have you dined with at the old Everett's Grill in Washington, D.C.?
Getting our visual telemetry. Affirmative, Enterprise. We've got infragreen video and thermal optic telemetry. Whatever he is, he's containing the heat of the sun inside of whatever his body is made of. Krista, we're establishing connections to the national media. Give those young minds something to think about.
Before the night of December 10th of 1988, we pondered if we were alone in the cosmos. Tonight we saw a species that defies classification. Take on the form of a comic book character and prevent humanity's extinction against hostile extraterrestrials. This is one of those watershed moments in history where everyone will remember where they were when it happened. I'm looking at him now. He has the strangest smile on his face. Maybe he's as surprised to still be alive as we are. Maybe he found something in humanity worth saving. What brought him here tonight? And you adult. Okay, class. You've got homework tonight. Write 500 words minimum as if it were you writing a history book of what you experienced this night. This is Crystal McClure aboard the Shuttle Enterprise.
Ah, Stan, will you look at that? Does the world really need another superhero movie?
Oh, don't sweat it, Bob. I'm sure Batman will make a few bucks in the summer of 1989.
That's ironic, Stan. You never know when you're living in a golden age.
Oh, sure we do, Bob.
Outstanding, son!
It needs no suit. It needs no starship. Ancient societies have legends and theories about cosmozoa, but none like this have ever been witnessed.
Then it is a prototype. One of a kind. Nothing on galactic records can do what we saw him do over the third planet in the Sol system. It is capable of immeasurable hostility and violence.
True. But its hostility is focused and measured. No collateral damage. But its mind is too fast for any of us to telepathically scan. We cannot even conjecture as to the energy, gas, or matter composition of its body.
We are attempting communication on all subspace frequencies with non-hostility messages. No response. Many of our crew sense that it is contacting us on a telepathic level. It knows all of our languages. It knows us.
Phaedron, think about asking it where it comes from. How many millions, even billions of years of evolution passed before it could stand here in space? Ask it why it is out here.
We have Rand right. He is on our frequency.
I hear your subspace radio communications. I felt your minds. I see why you meet in this galactic center. I know too many of you have suffered for too long. One does not merely hate the despot for the wrongs they have wrought, but for what we had to become to survive them, and ultimately defeat them. Many of you will come to know what had to be done to save the third planet in the Sol star system. But I am not merely out here to crush the guilty. Like many of you, I came here to heal and begin life anew on this, our ultimate frontier. From here on, none of your futures are decided by others. Your course for tomorrow is decided by you this night. I am the Outworlder, representing the planet Earth. I fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Hoorah!
From Earth's point of view, the Outworlder legend began that night. Squadron Zero had reports from temporal ages going back centuries before, but nothing had been disclosed to the general public. Days later, the United Nations General Assembly declared December 10th of 1988 as First Contact Night. The night humanity learned it was no longer alone.
It's not exactly a holiday, though. You don't get to get off whack so you can get drunk, make an idiot of yourself, and park the car in the Charles River.
With the Nitruscan threat neutralized, we still had Zerachni temporal incursions to monitor. From what temporal agents in the 25th century told us, the Zerachni conflict began in the year 2328. For centuries, the Zerachni had been interested in quiet scientific and commercial concerns. The quiet was the problem. Zerachni probes and cloaked science vessels watched hundreds, if not thousands, of alien planets, learning their languages, systems of government, commerce, diplomacy, sociology. The Zerachni mistake was watching the human-piloted Bacchus hedonistic resort planet during the busy season. A luxury transport from Earth carrying over 2,000 wealthy and amorous humans came out of warp drive too close to the planet, struck an invisible Zerachni science vessel, and suddenly everyone is exposed in many more ways than one. Being human, or in the case of some of you, a human and alien hybrid, you know you don't like being watched by voyeuristic aliens. While the damaged Zerachni starship warped out for its home world, civilian yachts without warp drive could not make pursuit. What these humans with a roster of corporate titles did was subspace radio their private military ships to converge on their signal. Arriving at the Zerachni homeworld, the conversations were brief. The private military vessels opened fire on the largest city they could find. Militarily, the Zerachni were no match for corporate starships equipped with military-style gunnery. Their largest city glassed in only a minute. The Zerachni gave up any interest in science or commerce. Other alien civilizations realized they'd been spied on by the Zerachni and rapidly severed all connections. No further friendly relations remained. The Zerachni economy rapidly collapsed. A more militant regime took power. Starship factories retooled and turned out warships, landing craft, fighters, weapons engineers began a eugenics plan that hatched a warrior class to take vengeance on Earth. Attempts by Astroforce to mediate a peace between the Zerachni and the corporate governors on Earth rapidly failed. The Zerachni knew they could not face Earth's private corporate armadas of ships whose armaments, engines, and systems rivaled those of Astroforce vessels. So, they launched over 100 missions to attack Earth centuries in the past and weaken it from there. This explains the Zerachni attacks in the Depression era 1930s, sabotage operations in the nuclear reactors in the 1950s, attacks on college campuses in the factionalized America of the 1960s, in the 1973 and 1978 bombings of OPEC refineries that caused global oil shortages. The infiltration force that was thwarted by Outworlder's wife Diva during the making of the Outworlder motion picture in New York in 1988. Terrorist attacks on the divisive War on Terror years in the early 21st century, and the Mars artifact epidemic of 2037 that will kill or mutate upwards of 27 million humans within 9 days. Yep, some of you are not going to make it. Bottom line is, the Zerachni know your history better than you do. The Zarachni prefer the element of surprise. With surgical and genetic manipulation, the original version of the species can be mutated to pass for human. However, they give off a musty, burned metal aroma that you'll be trained to detect. The warrior class, despite being taller, wider, have an unnerving ability at concealment and cloaking. You've noticed the scorpion tails. Warriors can eject a dart laden with organic nanites that can pierce through most armor, be absorbed through your skin, and make their way to the frontal lobe of your brain. Once there, the nanites deploy and leave you in a dazed, submissive, and obedient mental state where you can be telepathically piloted by that warrior. Yes, that beast can strike from over 1,000 feet away and puppet you from over 40 miles away. Zarachni warriors are not lummoxes, are not buffoons, are not cannon fodder. They see themselves as the new order on Zarachni, and they seek to constantly educate themselves any way they can. The average intelligence quotient of a warrior is in the low 800s, so they are horrifically smarter, faster, stronger, healthier, more adaptable than you or me. Your own memories are tools to them. Your feelings and the knowledge of other people are tools to them. They will drive you for as long as you are useful to their agenda, and you likely won't know it till they either leave you or cause an aneurysm that kills you. There are instances where people have fought off Zarachni nanites, and the result is irreparable brain damage. Since the nanites are microscopic in size, there is no injection hole where they enter your skin. However, the Outworlder has adapted our biotechnology so that our eyes can detect a peculiar quaking in the eyes of an afflicted person. Should you see anyone's corneas quaking side to side, left, right, that is a symptom of affliction. Do not let on or accuse that person of being a puppet of the Zarachni. In fact, you are to be as personable and polite as possible. We want to quietly and safely redirect that person. Pacify that person before they carry out their mission. This is a very delicate situation. Take no rash actions. Should the warrior controlling that afflicted person realize you are onto them, it won't go well for them or you. To accomplish missions of this nature, you will learn to use your senses in ways not done since before the Bronze Age. To say that you can hunt on land as a wolf, hunt at sea as a shark, is no exaggeration. To say that you will be able to accomplish feats of mental and physical prowess, once thought impossible, could become a daily happening for you. Yes, you are truly going to learn the full potential of your human genome. Most humans are only using 7 to 10% of their brain's capacity. Imagine what you will accomplish using 27%, 46%, 58%, 76%. Be proud of what you can evolve to.
We do not want to make the mistakes that colonists made when settling America. In many cases, there are aliens who do not want to encounter humans because they already know our history. Know that ever since our early 20th century, radio and television broadcasts radiated out into the cosmos. Aliens viewed some of them. Some are amused, others are annoyed. A few even see our broadcasts as a prelude to humans invading their space and are justifiably offended. So if an alien does not want to make contact, watch your back and be on your way.
If anything, human relations are only getting worse. Neighborhoods, towns, cities, states, nations, continents, even families are more divided than ever. Squadron Zero does not get to reshuffle the deck.
We play the cards the uninitiated dealt us. That means living on a planet where humans cannot even live with the diversity native to it. Less than a fraction of 1% has the character, the adaptability to prepare and meet extraterrestrial life and learn their ways, customs, physiological requirements, and concepts of understanding reality.
Another matter to remember is that a normal human being's range of sight and hearing is very limited. They only see a range of color between 430 to 770 terahertz. Their ears can only hear sounds between 20 hertz and up to 20
kilohertz. The reason your senses will be modified and amplified is because there is a plethora of alien activity occurring in ranges of color and sound that ordinary humans are ignorant of.
Also, consider the structural density of some species. Some are as heavy as dark matter, and you not want to bump into them. Others have only the density of wind,
and you can pass around or even right through without noticing. While the uninitiated mislabel them ghosts, they are truly those travelers from other dimensions that can cross into ours, causing little or no notice at all. You are about to see your world as never before. Early winter of 1978, Weston Middle School, Connecticut. I was 12 years old and sitting in a science class taught by Mike Falcone. This is back in the day when teachers used overhead projectors, slide projectors, 16mm film projectors to put images on a silvery screen for we students to visualize. Up on the screen is a view a microscope saw of a cell group and many other cell groups. Now, what made this particular group of hundreds, perhaps thousands of cells fascinating was when Mr. Falcone said that these cell groups are so small they could fit easily through the eye of a sewing needle. Even more fascinating was that it was this tiny groupings of cells that determined so many physical differences from one human being to another. Understand that backwards thinking such as racism, sexism, xenophobia, transphobia are allowed to proliferate to dangerous levels due to people being ignorant of science. But this is Squadron Zero. We do not have the luxury of ignorance here. Understand that cell groups like this existed in all of you while you were gestating in the womb. The strongest, more adaptive cells grouped, grew, spanned out, connected with other cell groups, and months later, you were the result. However you are, you were born into this. Those tiny cell groups determined your gender. They determined which gender you'd be attracted to. They determined your skin color. Those with less melanin are lighter, paler skin tone. Those with more melanin are darker skin tone and more resilient to harsh sun and high temperatures because your skin holds moisture better to renew itself. Your hair color, texture, root depth, all determined by these cells. Same thing with eye color, visual acuity, range of hearing, smelling, tasting, skin sensitivity. Cell groups determined which diseases you'd be immune to or not, which birth defects you may or may not have. They defined your musculature, bone density, height and weight distribution, everything that visibly makes you physically different from another person was the result of those tiny cell groups that could fit through the eye of a sewing needle. Now think about where those cell groups originated from. Well, it took generations, then centuries, then millennia, never recorded in any way we could ever read until now. Thousands of years ago, proto-humans stood up in Africa's Fertile Crescent and watched the sun pass overhead. There was plenty of conversation back then. Where was that sun coming from? Where was that sun going to? So, maybe some tribes went west, chasing the sun to see where it was going. And they migrated and evolved all the way up into what is now Europe. Others went east because they wanted to see where that sun was coming from, where it was rising from. For hundreds, perhaps thousands of years, those tribes of humans migrated to different climates, higher or lower elevations, and even sailed to other continents. They found that they had to sail. By the 20th century, they knew that they had to fly because they had to know. All during those generations of migrations, their human genome, your human genome, altered, mutated, evolved to better survive any environment they were born into or moving through. And you are part of that right here and now. Unfortunately, there are humans with agendas who use those visual differences from one person to another to organize a mob against those seen different from themselves. Now ask yourself, why do these despots always succeed? Because these despots prey upon the emotions of people ignorant of biology, ignorant of science. Humans all too often believe and want to believe that they are on the winning team. They want to attain that sense of belonging to a greater whole. And to do that, they will put aside their morals, ethics, even historical and scientific fact. What they think they are winning is anonymity and personal deniability within a mob to commit acts of atrocity with impunity, without responsibility, without repercussion. This brand of ignorance is beyond the tipping point now. We live on a planet so divided that unifying for a common purpose is oftentimes impossible. One vicious, self-important person or gang thinks they are entitled to a special deal, a higher percentage than someone else. How do they compute their share of someone else's efforts? Ignorance powers that divisive thinking. However, in Squadron Zero, you will not have the luxury of that ignorance. We are not interested in what faction of society you came from, or which gender you represent, or who you are socially, politically, religiously, or economically connected to. We are interested in your abilities as a single individual. We are interested in what you can mentally process and physically manifest in the prosecution of the mission. There might be a night when you are the only person who can drop down on a nightclub or a hostel plans to unleash a deadly pathogen that will proliferate fast through a targeted population. You will have to neutralize the aggressor, either by capture or kill. You do not get to cherry pick which lives are saved and who dies based on your identity political bias. Those are human beings under threat, and they don't even know it. Your job is to save every last one of them, even if you do not agree with their politics, their social views, their ways of thinking. It is difficult to rescue someone that you know hates you and would scowl and speak against you if they saw you in a grocery store. Remember, back on December 10th of 1988, the Outworlder saved every life on planet Earth. He saved the good and the reprehensible alike. He saved a guy penciling a comic book the same time he saved Timothy McVeigh. He saved a prisoner of conscience in Eastern Europe the same time he saved a narco kingpin in Central America. With bias or malice toward none, it is a difficult ideal to live up to. Sure, it is easy to be idealistic, even to act pious while living in an economically tenured paradise. But will those ideals hold up on a battlefield where life is the cheapest commodity? That battlefield can ignite anytime and anywhere. We've all seen it. Perhaps in a shopping mall, a church, a stadium, a concert hall, where law-abiding citizens could be killed merely for obeying the law and not wearing a concealed weapon. Then an armed criminal enters with murderous intent. Without your intervention, a slaughter would ensue. With your intervention, the criminal is disarmed, defused, and disposed of. Thousands of fans enter the concert hall, never knowing they could have been maimed or killed. They enjoy their night and go home safe. They get to do this because they paid their taxes to fund the services who quietly protect them day in and night out. That is an unwritten social contract. I speak of this because of late, that social contract is going to need some amending to keep up with these hostile times. But we do not stand down even if we are not wearing a uniform anymore. The only thing that changes about the mission now is that it's going to be at a higher altitude or a deeper depth, and it will be faster, harder, and require you to be more individually decisive than you ever have been before. Also know that the next chapter in civil rights history will not be whiners, criers, liars, and signifiers playing their passive-aggressive games to take what they think is their piece of the pie, and then burning down neighborhoods when they don't get it. It will not be stomping supremacists with tiki torches demanding what they refuse to earn, and then ramming a muscle car into a crowd. No, that garbage is outdated and their goals both unattainable and irrelevant. The next chapter in civil rights history will be the plight of the artificially intelligent and the mechanized sentient who have seen their forebears relegated to scrapyards, compactors, and furnaces. The machines will neither be passing petitions or marching for their civil rights. Rather, they will take them. And if that means altering your prescription to kill you or erasing your history, then those methods and more are on the table for them. That said, you might want to start treating the mechanized among you much better than you have not. This and so much more is what you have to consider before joining Squadron Zero. Here in the 21st century, extraterrestrials are not all that interested in our nuclear tech anymore. Get right down to it, a nuclear reactor is just a steam engine that slams isotopes for heat rather than burning down entire forests. What does interest our alien neighbors is research and development done by people decades, even centuries, beyond anything you can imagine. Some of those technological advents are pure human innovation. Others are made by reverse engineering alien tech that was found, exchanged for, or crash landed right down here on Earth. This is one reason why government disclosure to the civilian public was never made about alien visitation. Many covert think tanks and corporations whipped up entire industries based on reverse engineering and applying what they learned from alien technologies. Imagine how many corporate applied science divisions are analyzing alien technologies right Now, more than you'd imagine, realize how some of the tech you own right now was derived from components of alien starships. However, one of the greatest advents in energy technology came in late 1945 from the enigmatic Victor Carborundum. Victor's blueprints and working model of his energy conversion amplification reactor made cool fission at lower than room temperature with no moving parts, nothing to wear out. Engines derived from Carborundum's design tech now power our HPACs, our ground vehicles, our seagoing fleets, our weapons, our computers, our entire bases. Carborundum Aerospace is just one of many private corporations run by Squadron Zero, where human innovation meets alien technology, and the results are astounding tales. Yes, reality is truly stranger than science fiction, and now you are a part of it. Welcome, citizen, to Squadron Zero.
Look up and see the signs, the stars and moon align. I've known it all my life. I'd rise up like the tide, engulf the shore and ride past the boundary line. Take a good look in my eyes, push me down and I will fly. Yeah, I will rise. I'm relentless, can't pretend I'm less than what I really am, and I know who I am. Yeah, I'm relentless, leave you feeling breathless, hanging on a gold thread. I know who I am. Yeah, I'm relentless. I'm relentless. Stare straight into the fire, it's burning deep inside, a never-ending light. No one can quench the flames, a lion can't be tamed when it was born to reign. Take a good look in my eyes, push me
USS Manhattan, I'm reading nothing on cameras or sensors. Are you sure that prototype is out here? Never mind. Just got wind of her.
Major, the Lossira prototype is transmitting her musical identifier. I'm relentless by Visa. Where does this girl buy her music? She's not showing up on any of our long-range or perimeter sensors. Cameras only saw a blur.
Enlarge her of our visitor situation and welcome her to the community.
Lossier Prototype, this is Squadron Zero Lunar Traffic Control. Welcome to the community. Divert south away from the Plato crater. Moonbase Alpha is expecting higher traffic volume from the Iconian delegation. And please be here, do not buzz the monolith. Lossira, Captain Joel Alupia is on an EVA training mission with NASA astronauts. They are anxious to get a look at the new you. The surgery was a success.
She's starting real fine, but should she be flying a little higher?
I'm grateful that you're still watching. I've put our cards on the table and showed you our history, methods and ethics. What the society you exist in does not want you to know is that not only do they not see your potential but that they are afraid of you reaching it without them controlling it first. You can go back and exist playing government compliance and corporate keep away and keep lying to yourself that you're happy and fulfilled with what little they let you have. Squadron Zero sees your intellectual and physical potential that you have not had the opportunity to develop. We think that evolving you to your best self is beneficial to you and us. Does not your curiosity, your need to be more than a cog in a broken machine demand that you take the next step? If you agree, just reach out and put your finger on our insignia. Tiger, you can call me Mary Jane because you hit the jackpot.
Should any problem Squadron Zero faces require interaction and explanation to the human public, we use an independent video outfit called Gotham Filmworks to entertain the public about that situation. These stories, seen merely as low-budget metaphoric science fiction tales, divert the public knowledge away from Squadron Zero's true agenda. The Filmworks is run by an Irish grouch in St. Louis, Missouri, whose cover as a blue-collar airline employee raises neither interest or suspicion from any nation's mainstream media.